Time of year again. This shop is cold, cold, cold. Anyway, I'll tell you what, this could be about a 2-minute video, or it could be maybe a little longer. I have no idea at this point, but I saw a posting on Facebook where somebody was asking about banding straps. And it's been a question that I've had, because when you feel them, they kind of feel like a bandsaw blade, you know what I mean? So, is this going to be something that you would want to invest time in, perhaps forging into a bladed item? So we're going to just start right off with this video. I'm going to clean some of this, whatever it is. Maybe it's just anodized or something like that. We'll hit it with a grinder. We'll see what it looks like. I don't think it's paint, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I always thought it was painted. Hard to tell. I do not think it is. We'll throw a piece of it in the fire and harden it and quench it and see if she snaps and give us an indication. I've never really tested anything this thin before, but that's what we're gonna do. Let's see. Hey, could be about a 2-minute video, and you can get back to whatever it is you're doing. Just threw this in the forge just to see if there was an aroma of paint or anything like that. I don't think it is. I think it's some type of process, blackening or something like that. So let's continue with the hardening test. I'm gonna get up to temperature. I'm just gonna go right into water. Not gonna mess around at this point with what I think it needs. I don't know. See that? That's an awful lot of bend for something so thin. And just do it one more time. We'll throw it in the vise. I don't know, because I've never tested anything this thin before. Damn it. We got this side hardened up here. Everything's in my face today. Again, that's, just when you think you know something, now you're dealing with something different. I mean, what does this thin of steel do when you bend on it, And it crunched, and is that what's expected? I'll tell you what, just for learning's sake, since what the heck, we're coming along, because I'm not calling it yet. It reminds me, what did I just do? Where I bent it and it wouldn't break, it was more springy. That like that lawnmower blade. That's what it reminds me of. Let's take something that we have a little more confidence in and kind of do the same test, and that is a. Geez, do I actually have a hacksaw blade? I don't think I do, but we'll get one of those bandsaw blades. And again, this is a good example of even when you've worked with a lot of things, especially with material like banding. What, we don't know who's making it out of what. This is mild steel that I've quenched, okay? Just to give a comparison, we're able to bend that 90 degrees, no break. All right, here's the hacksaw or bandsaw blade. A little wider and a little bit thicker, but I think we should learn something from it. What if those were the teeth cracking off? No, I heard crunching, but I guess it wasn't. Because they must have a set on those teeth. So we'll bend, yeah, see, now there's the difference. Yeah, I think this is going to be the shortest video that we ever done had. Yeah, alright. So that, I think, would tell you that to stop. In my mind, that would tell you to stop. It's got a little spring to it, right? I mean, let's go back. I think I still have some hardened space stuff here. Yeah, I mean, it's just almost at, I don't know what that is, 70 degrees, 80 degrees is when she cracks. So it will take a harden, probably about as good as a railroad spike would, something in that range. But I don't think, so the question now is, do we go farther and really just test it out? Or do we go farther and turn it into something we can use by putting some other steel in there? You know what I'm saying? But at this point, I'm saying because nope, I'm saying no. I think that's it. End of video. How you like that one for a nice short one? Would I use it? If I had to, I guess. But is it going to make a quality knife? Probably not. You know what? Let's do it, because some of us poor son of a pups out there, we don't have access to a lot of steel. We haven't figured out how to get access to it. And you know what? Just for the practice of forge welding, let's see what forge welding this stuff is. We'll twist on this and just make it a total backyard. I don't have a welder. I don't have anything but a forge and something to hammer on. So instead of welding this stack together, which is normally what I would do, I'm trying to come up with a way to wrap it. I don't have any flipping wire with me, or here, so I'm just going to heat up a piece of this strapping, and we'll just kind of tighten it around there, kind of like a collar, and see if that works. So I mean, hey, you got to try things, right? For you to watch is it's going to be for me to do. So I use some vice grips to hold that bundle together. We're going to try to get a tight wrap on it if we can. Probably not as tight as wire would get you, and that's probably what you'd want to do full show. Well, we're around once, that's alright. Let me do the other side. I think that'll work. What do I know? Never done this before. Much cooperation from the other side as we did this side. Let's hope so anyway. No reason not to cooperate, right? I think if I tighten this thing and just roll it right over. Get you down towards the end if I can. I think that's going to be tight enough. Perfect. So that's good. I think that's structurally going to work for us. Now, one safety note for you guys: cutting this banding strip. That's warm. I wouldn't go at it with an angle grinder. It's too thin. It's too sharp. If it gets away from you, I think you could find yourself in a little bit of hurt. So what I would recommend doing is, and what I did use was the tin snip. So just a little safety note. Safety third, right? Use what you gotta do, but no sense in dying, because as Chandler says, can't make nothing if you're dead. Again, normally I'd weld a handle on this so it's nice and easy, but again, we're a new, somebody just starting out, don't have a welder, so we're not going to do that. How many do I have? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are about 13 or 14 layers. I figure that's thick enough for us to get some work done and not too thick to get in the way. So in the forge we go for a warm up, and then we'll flex it up. Go slow because one side is going to be getting hot before the other side, and both outsides will get hot before the inside. So we definitely need to be flipping it in the fire and, you know, just bring up the whole thing nice and slow. You want to do that. You want to make sure everything's ready, inside to out. All right, where's my? There it is. My band is sliding on me. This thing is, yeah. Find some wire, boys and girls. This thing's gonna haunt me, I think. But we're up to a temperature where I'm ready to put some flux in. And again, the important thing is that we want the flux down in between those layers. For sure. I'm only gonna work on this end of it. Bring her up to temperature. Maybe that flux will help hold that band there. Give it a chance to melt down in between the layers to get a nice barrier from the oxygen and the ability to float away any impurities that we want. As you can see, it's like a glass solid thing right now. So that's that. Now we'll go in for a welding heat. I'm certainly no expert in forge welding. I've become better at it, that's for sure. The first thing from my previous, when I was a child, just 3 years ago, is thinking that you gotta bang on that thing with some heat right off the bat. You want to bring it all up from core to outside to forge welding temperature. That is critical. Don't just sit there and start banging on the heat, pumping oxygen into the piece. Because the outside will get up to temperature and start melting before the inside does, especially with this thinner stuff. So take your time, once you get a bit of a conglomerate together, once you get a stick, then you have a little more freedom. But at this point, I'm barely even putting any air on it. But as I feel comfortable that the insides, the core is becoming close to temperature or even, then I'll go ahead and start throwing some air on it. So I'll be back in a second. See if I can do this before I melt my steel. But another thing you want to focus on, and hopefully you'll be able to see it in there, is that when you're getting close to temperature, that borax will start bubbling. All right, I don't know if you can see it right there. You can hear it. It'll start sizzling a little bit, and it'll start bubbling. That you want to see that. That means, to me, it means that I brought it up nice and slowly. The borax is just getting ready, and we're pretty close to temperature. That's what it means to me. See those fireflies, little white sparks that don't match the rest of the sparks coming out of the fire. That means that you're there. You don't want to go much farther than that, especially with something thin. I have the 2-pound hammer on the table. I'm just putting a little air on it just to bring it up. Super fast, super light hits to get that first stick. Here we go. And that's it. I'm not going to go up the pipe any. Alright, this piece here on the outside we don't need anymore because we got a stick. If you're working inside, your flux will splatter. So make sure you're not so focused on the weld that you don't do a quick room check to make sure that you didn't catch your coat on fire or something more important. I'm just going to peel this out of our way because I really don't need it there. It's bothering me. It's looking ugly. Ouch. It's hot. Just enough. And I really didn't want it to cool down. I'm going to heat it up again because I didn't want to lose that heat that I just lost. I'll show you why here in a second. This black glassified, or actually not glassified, but hardened borax and impurities. Those things are the things that are flying when you see somebody forge welding a lot of sparks going off. That contains a lot of impurities, so after that first stick, you want to get rid of that stuff. There's nothing there that you want. That's for sure. Alright? And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flux it one more time. I find a better flux bowl so it fits on my hand before you. Stop. I'm losing all my heat for fluxing, you fool. Alright, you don't need a lot really. You need to cover those cracks for sure. Okay? Now this end was not cut evenly. I'm not going to keep that anyway, so I'm not worried too much about that. But we have that first weld really fast. Just get your stuff stuck. And then we'll go in and we'll do a second weld on this at least, just to kind of the real weld, you know what I mean? First, in my world, first weld, fast, quick, don't waste a lot of time, just a few hits and stick. Next one, go ahead and do the weld, a little more force. And then the third one, if you go that far, is just to clean everything up and make sure that you're happy with what's going on. That's the process that I use almost always. Heat again, and again, I'm just going for the first couple of inches here. That's it. I think we're good. If you start hitting these edges, if you notice I'm not, let it cool down and I'll tell you. If those edges aren't lined up very well, my advice is don't try to bang them in. Get your stuff stuck, grind those off, because if you fold them, chances are your impurities are going to get stuck in there. I have to brush this, and you'll be fighting that all the way through the billet. Again, guys, this is Chandler talking. This is what I do as somebody that isn't an expert yet. All right, it's working for me most of the time, almost always. Keep learning. There may be 1,000 other ways to do this more efficiently. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this around now. I think I got a decent stick here, and then I'm going to work this next section in here to push out any crap, and then this next section to push out any crap. That will throw shit away from. Sorry. Damn. that will throw sparks and stuff away from you, so make sure you're preparing for that. But our next goal is from here to here to the band about. We got her up to temperature. I'm going to put a little bit more flux on those edges. I'm thinking with this stuff I can go maybe a little farther than what I was planning. We'll see how the hammer feels when I'm doing it. And then we'll go in for a forged welding heat. I'm going to put a spark blanket up. I'm about up to temperature. Now again, I want to go from where I welded last out. I don't want to create some bubble in there that's going to come back and haunt me. So from where I was out, first weld, lots of sparks, everything looks good, and that's it. I lost my time looking for sparks. That was the stick, and I was able to run almost the entire length of the bar, which is good. I think I've done a good job of forward welding my band in too, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that there. Little flux on the edge. Going for that second weld. Maybe this won't work for you, but if it does, make it your ritual. You know, stick, weld, clean, and then once you're comfortable with how that's going, make some changes. Trust me, once you do a few welds and it just is something that you're pretty sure is going to work, it's a heck of a good feeling as a potential smith. With the camera, but the camera just isn't going to show it very well. You're looking from a color perspective, you're looking for that orange, you know, red to orange, bright orange, that bright orange to be darn near, if not into the white. Once you get into the white, then you're going to start melting too much. But bright orange, almost back to a bright yellow before it turns white. That's what we're after. Then you know you're there. Wish you could see it a little better on camera. There's our second weld. Everybody happy, happy, happy. Get rid of that stuff on the outside. And again, because of all these layers, I'm not going to attempt to bring those in. I'm just going to grind them off and then come back with a clean billet, and we'll cut and fold a couple of times and see how it goes from there. Alright, so I cleaned that billet off. I got the edges pretty much the same. There are a few lines in here. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's one here that I didn't take down as far. Another one here. We're gonna work that and see. You know, if you try to take everything, you might end up with nothing left to work. I did not take the ends off yet. This end right here, all right, that's nothing but grief waiting to happen for you. But we're gonna fold it once and then I'll worry about that. I want to fold it semi-controlled. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the good steel that I have, all right, which is, well, we'll balance it out, a little less than 6 inches, so that I can go ahead and put some type of line in here. Gosh, I still don't want that. Let's remeasure. We'll call it 5 inches. All right, and I'm gonna just give myself a mark. So when I go to fold, cut and fold, that's where I want that to be. Otherwise, if you're guessing, you know, you only have a little bit of material to work with when you're doing these small projects anyway. If you're overlapped by an inch here, you just kind of blew the whole process. So there's my mark. Let's cut and fold. You don't want to scrimp too much on the heat on this cut and fold, because you don't want it to be a whole lot of stress on the piece. And if you got to go back to heat it, do it. It must be an optical illusion, because that doesn't look anywhere near where I want. I'm going to go back and heat it again, because when I fold it, I don't want it cracking. And if you remember, I only did 2 welds on these things. Normally I do 3, so if there's anything that isn't totally welded yet, I don't want those pulling apart on me. So just for the sake of a few seconds in the fire, we'll go ahead, clean this inside off for sure. That's going to be your new, hopefully clean steel. I'm going to fold that over. I don't want to waste a huge amount of time doing it either, because you don't want anything cracking. Get rid of that brush. Lining things up, so hopefully when you do the weld, everything's going to be happy. It's not bad. I lost a little more heat than I wanted to, so I'm going to just pick up a little bit before I put flux on. Not much, but a little bit brighter than that red that was there is what I'm after. Just enough to get that flux melted. Fluxed up, flux all the way down the crack, including that end, if you're going to try to save as much of that as possible. My welding approach is going to be from the fold back. That's going to squirt stuff my way, which is safer than away from me, safer for the shop anyway. But I don't want to work this way and create some type of air pocket or something where I have issues up there. In we go. And again, slowly bring it up, flipping it over both sides until you know the core and the outside are ready. The process actually. So it's in the fire. I'm just going to flip her over because I don't know if you can tell, but it's just such a color difference on both sides. Back again, I'm not putting any extra air on the fire. I have my little blower going just a little bit just to get her started. And that's it. So I know that that inside and that outside are where I want to be. I guess I'll bring you, can I bring you down? Anvil and forge? Yeah, I think so. Can't back you up much more. I'm going to melt my freaking piece trying to get you set up. You gotta love videotape. Alrighty, are you recording? Yeah, okay. So it's been on that side for a while. We are now getting up to temperature. I'm at that yellow to white, bright yellow to white. This is the first forge. I'm going to try to hit the first forge well. I'm going to try to, ooh, we're going too hot. I see white sparks flying. I don't want that to happen. We're going to go try to get the entire length up to forge welding temperature. So from end to the whole 2 inches. Here we go. I think I want to go a little warmer now that I messed with it. Put my tongs. I don't know if you can see them, but just starting to see those little white fireflies. Get a hold of where I want it. That's it. I'm not going to go any more than that. The second one, you saw me hesitate because I didn't know for sure if I wanted to go. You see, it's one pass through, checking the shop, everything looks okay at the moment. Clean this crap off, back in, just a little bit of flux on the edges in the end. The end we're going to lose for sure. It's not clean, but we can get a little bit more of it. Back into the fire we go. Tell you what, we'll make this a long video. I'll just stick around for the whole process. Again, I'm not cranking that heat. I want to bring it up. The core is now hot. You know, it's cooled down, but it doesn't have as far to go to bring it up. It's more a solid mass, so the whole thing's going to heat more regularly now. I got flux bubbling on the outside. This one here is going to be a simple weld, a little more aggressive to make sure we're there. I got fireflies. One more second on this side. Here we go. Alright, I'm okay with that. I'm pretty okay with that, except I dropped it. Was okay with that. Everybody happy-ish? Everybody seems to be burning. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start working that weld. I'm not going to do much to it. I'll bring her in a little, draw her out a little, and we'll fold her one more time to see what we got from there. You want a decent heat on this while you're working it, because you may not be where you think you are. And again, this whole end is messed up, so I'm half tempted to get rid of that right now and continue working this billet with all good ends. I think that's what I'm going to do. That end, this end is nice and clean. I think we can go ahead and start stretching this out. Things don't look bad. We'll go for one more fold in it. And again, this is an exercise. You start off. Can you use bandsaw, can you use banding? Does it harden? Is it a great, is it going to make a decent knife? I don't think so from what we saw in the testing. And that went to, but that's something everybody can get. I mean, us new guys, we can find that stuff. It's cheap and free. So, and it allows you to make pattern welding. All right, whether it's a great knife when you get done or just a great looking knife. It doesn't take a lot of heat to get that kind of material up to temperature for welding, and in one band, I guess it depends on how long it is, but you can get a lot of trial and error in that. So that's why we're continuing the video. This billet to 3-pounder standards now, just to work it out a little bit. Bit of length and width. And I'll go in for some more heat. Again, it's kind of new, I don't want to put too much stress on it. Just enough to give us enough material to do a fold. Is what I'm after. And then I just got myself an idea. Maybe we'll turn it into something. Something I might actually be able to say. Forge welding small stuff, in my opinion, as an inexperienced son of a gun, is probably the hardest thing to do. But you put a lot of layers of those together, and now you got something you can play with. Oops, come on now. Got the wrong tongs out. Alright, I think I'm okay with that. I'm just going to go ahead, because now that I have a purpose for this thing, I'm just going to clean up the inside of this with a grinder, mark the center line, we'll cut and fold one more time, and then we'll turn it into what I have in mind. Clean up the one side of it, and of course I marked that side, which I really, no, I guess that's the side I want. So that's where I want to cut. No, I want to cut on the other side. Who? No, I want to cut on this side. Yep, alright, I'm good. I want to cut the side that I want to be on the inside. So let's heat this up, we'll throw the cut on it, and we'll go from there. Since this is more a, lecture, another thing to keep in mind, because this takes a lot of time on the heat, is that you got to keep that fire maintained. You got to, if you're anthracite, you got to keep those coals ranked in. You got to keep the air where it needs to be. By 2 minutes, I'm not exactly sure what you need to do, but whatever it is to keep that fire ready to have an interruption for 10 minutes while you're grinding or doing something, and then be able to get back to a clean forge welding over and over again. It's hugely important. A lot of us new guys, the fire is good for half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever it is, and then we go do something and then try to force that fire to be something that it's not. And that is not a good thing to do. Why am I thinking I'm backwards on this cut? If I cut the outside, I'm going to fold the outside. So yeah, I am backwards on this cut. Right. So I want to be like this. Right? Yeah. I do not want to go too deep with this because I already cut a little on the other side. You know what I mean? I think that's good. I'm just going to take a little more heat so I don't break it on the bend. Get that small here. Those things up. This was the side I wanted in the first place. So please don't break. That looks good. Things lined up. Closed up a little. Man, it's a small piece of forged weld. Hope we're okay. Get rid of as much crap as we can. Jeez, give me twice as much material. Again, flux on the edges. I think I'm hot enough still for that. And this end is pretty critical now. So I'm definitely inside that end. In we go. Now the idea that I have in mind for the next step, if this forged weld doesn't blow up in my face, I am recording through this long part, is going to put a lot of stress on those welds, and I think that's great exercise, and I think in the end, if it works, I'll be happy. So we want to do a good job on this forged weld. Be able to see it well, but the fires that I like the best when I'm forged welding is where I have that piece just under a, oops, I flipped it, just under a layer of coal. Not buried deep inside the coal. I like where I can actually see parts of the piece. Come on now, tongs. Parts of the piece. Well, for crying out loud. Exposed, and I'll cover that over with just a layer so that I can watch that steel and I can watch that flux working. If you go too exposed, then you're going to have such a heat difference from the ambient air that you're not going to have good heat. But these are just tips that I'm trying to give you. I want to be able to see that steel in there so I can watch what's going on, if I can. Not always can I make that fire do that. Decent temperature for the first half of this. We're going to come in. That's it. I don't want to work this end too much yet because that's where my tongs were. Everything wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I'm just going to flip that around. Clean it off. I wonder if I could have scarfed that piece there. I wonder if I can do it a little bit now without disrupting much. And I'm not going to try. Flux that end up. See if we can close that end up. And if we are, we got a good billet to work with, and we'll go from there. What exactly did we start with? I said 14 layers. Times 2 is 28. Times, well, not times 2. Squared is, start with 14, fold it at once. Was 28. Fold it again is 56 layers. That should be pretty, even if it doesn't make a decent end. Remember, my ends didn't line up perfectly. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I pull this thing out with the short side on top, and I might be able to tuck that down in there. That's the objective anyway. There's an awful lot of hammering for a first weld, Chandler. You lose your mind for a second. I was kind of focusing on trying to tie that end in. I hope I did. Alright, we're going to turn around and do the second weld. I'll do the second. Well, no, I don't want to. I stressed that first weld in the back. I'm going to go back and flip it around, go back and do the second weld on that first part there. On this 2-pound hammer, it's a small piece, and I'm after some heavy, not heavy, but fast hits to cover a lot of area. I think we're okay. Alright, there's 2 welds on that end. We're going to go ahead and just put another. I did a pretty darn good job welding with force on that other end, but we're going to give it one more go, and then we'll start shaping this thing up. Go on the front end of this. Yeah, we're good. We're already good to begin with. Alright. So, go along with my little project idea, I want this to be a square, cross section of a square. I'm going to go ahead and forge that down into a square shape. If I can. If you don't know where I'm going with it, you're about to find out hopefully here soon enough. At this point, the forge welding, I hope, is done. So all I'm doing now is going for shape. We're going to want to do that at some decent heat still. I'm hoping to have like 7 to 8-ish inches of material once I get it squared off. I hope. This side down a little if we can. Still amazes me, and again, I'm not 100% certain of my welds, but you can take multiple pieces of steel and turn it into a salad piece like that. Wizardry. That's what I call it. I bet you at one point in time people thought the same thing for real. Let's see if we can start working this part out. Boy, is that a delamination? Could be, children. I see the line there that opens up, opens and closes all the way through. Holy crap. That sucks. Yeah, I think you can see it right in here. The probability of fixing that is slim to none. I'd be afraid. Slim to none. But let's give her a go. I really wish I could get like a wedge or something in there. Whew, it's so thin, I don't know if I can do anything about it. Sons of bitches. We're going to flux it up and we're going to go ahead and bring that to a forge welding temperature. We'll see. My experience, it's a done deal. Right in the middle. I couldn't have been on the end. But you never know. You don't know till she's singing. What I could do is try to flatten that out. Cut it right at that weld and then try to seal it from there. Do one more fold, but I'm so thin there, you know, I'm so small in size now. Gosh, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. I like that answer a lot though. But when you try to forge weld, you know, this size material over each other, man, it doesn't give you a lot of opportunity. It's too thin, it's going to just slide off itself. I'm almost certain I can't forge weld that though. Alright, we're going to try it. Who knows? I did not expect to have this issue. I thought that stuff would work just fine. Yeah, I think I really did. 2-pounder out, I can't tell you how delicately I'm trying to bring that piece of this steel up to temperature. It's so thin, and forge welding temperature is so close to melting. But you know what? Go big or go home. Did you do it? Did you do it? I'm almost wondering if I didn't go far enough. My eyes don't work as well as they used to. Up this billet. I'm going to go one more time and just come up a little bit farther. It just looks like maybe a quarter to an eighth of an inch. Maybe I didn't go far enough. that's it. That's all we can do about it. Which is all we can do about it. It is either there or not. So let's go back to turning this thing into a square. Gently, like, I still see a crack there, but we'll work around it if we have to. Working on squaring this end up. I don't think that fixing the forge weld helped, but Fat Lady isn't singing yet. Is it just a, because I saw it on both sides, I guess that's what gives me the most discouragement. But we're going to keep going. If it were a knife that I were working on, or something that I know needs structural integrity, if it were wide, I mean, it would have been wider if it was a knife. I would have cut right at that slot and then tried to forge that out of there. I would not have left that in, or cut on both sides and weld those two builds together. In this particular case, number one, it's an exercise. Number two, assuming it isn't a total delamination, you know, razor blade pulling out, a little inclusion like that won't hurt my feelings too much. I think I can make it work with the piece. Yeah, I can see it, it's right there. But, like I said, we'll work around it. One way or t'other. Trying to go for relatively square. I think that'll do the trick. I think, you know, we got what, 56 layers on this edge, right? Alright, let's do our little game now. Let's see what we can do here. Open up. Close up. Try to pull on it as I twist. I want to twist as much as I can. That's good for the middle. I wanted a little better twist than that, but that's good for the middle. We'll go ahead and strategically heat the rest of it and put twists on it. I would like to see that much twist all the way down through. Go ahead, get her in there again. Just bring the rest of it up where it belongs, I hope. That ain't horrible. It ain't horrible. A little tighter here than we are here, and a little, yeah, and then not in there. So let's see if we can strategically heat that over there. We're having fun anyway, right? A little strategic cooling can help the process along a little. There we go. I think we're okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm going to just put a little bit more down on this end. I think we'll call it good. It's a lot of twisting. Horrible. Just a little more heat on the end. I have no idea what this is going to do. Assuming I don't break anything, this is where we're going to stop with it. Good enough. Tis what it is. So that should have done something to that pattern in there. I don't think I've ever tried this, so I don't know. But it's twisted. I haven't never tried this, so I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to try to not roll those twists if I can and square this thing back off. I think I can. Seems to be doing it. Go a little farther. I don't want to fold those over. Oh, that's gonna be careful now. Yeah, see, there's a fold there. That sucks. But like I said, the fat lady ain't sung yet. Let's just kind of gently work the rest of this stuff out. I certainly think I got the 7 or 8 inches I was after. Let's finish this up, whatever it is, it is. Alright, what are we looking at here? A little fat there. I don't know if I like my idea so much anymore. Alright, I need it to be kind of rounded on top is what I'm after. So let me just put that in. I don't want to round the bottom. I just kind of want to round the top. So I'm holding it flat on the anvil. Here a half round or something like that suede would be a good thing to have, but that's kind of what I'm after. Like a half round. Where do we leave off? Right there. Yeah, I don't like how that could be that delamination actually. It's the only spot where I have those folds. So that would be interesting if that is. And I bet you, yeah, all the way around it goes. That's the delamination you had in the forge weld. I don't know if I'm going to get enough steel out of that end. Let's go ahead and continue this. Where is my bottom? Through there. Whatever it is. It is. Let's clean her up. So now let's get out of the bag. What I was trying to do was a bracelet. I mean, not that a bracelet made out of steel makes sense anyway. But do something with it, right? I don't think knife was the right way to go with this material. But let me cool that. Actually, let's normalize it a little, and then we'll cool it down and we'll hit with the grinder and we'll see what kind of pattern we got anyway. A little time on the grinder, and we got ourselves a piece of half round made out of those bands, shipping bands, whatever you call them, bundling bands, forge welded together. Right in there is that delamination, and I mean, it's not bad the way it is now, and if this were what I was making, something straight like this, I mean, as long as it's not structural, I think we'll be okay. But when I try to bend that into a bracelet, I think it's going to be a problem. But let's go ahead and throw an etch on that. I went down to, I think, 300 grit, not crazy, and I can't get to my buffing wheel at the moment, so we got what we got. Let's throw an etch on it and see what it looks like. For a new lid for my, I better get these on, for my acid container. It's done, added away almost. Alrighty, let's see what we get out of this thing. I don't think I've ever done a twisted pattern like that, and I don't really get into studying patterns and stuff that much, but we'll throw her in there for a while. See if anything pops out at us. I'll be back. I've been flipping this thing up and down and in and around for a little while now. The pattern is freaking awesome. Alright, if you take a look at it, let's get a good focus. It's very, very cool. Problem is, and I'm finding this to be true with a lot of same steel layering, once you wipe it off, the pattern kind of fades away. It's there, but it fades away. So I'm not sure what that's all about because I'm not familiar with it. I'm thinking if you had different steels in there, your pattern would show up a lot better. But I mean, that's just, get the shadow out. Let me find a different spot here. If I'm back farther, maybe I'll get more light. Yeah, there you can see it now. Very, very cool. So, what to do now? So that worked. I mean, I was going to turn this into a bracelet, but I know that the minute I bend this one spot where it delaminated, we're going to have a problem with it. So, I'm not sure what I'll do with it. I might just hold on to it. It might be cool to make a ring, right? Think about it. A band from a band, from a bunch of bands. I think that would be a cool little selling point. The problem with that is it's steel. I don't know for sure how to protect it. Let me, this may be as far as I go, but give me a minute. Let me go ahead and neutralize this thing, and then we'll decide if I go any farther with it. All right, what do we got to lose? So I'm going to take and cut off a particular length of this. We'll see if it bends. I mean, something this thick, especially steel, I would want to do hot, but I don't really have a setup to make rings. Unless I just make a ring off of, using my little ring jig thing that I did before, hot, and then, no, let's just try cold. We'll see what happens to the thing. So last I knew, I don't remember, I haven't had a ring on my finger in a long time, is that I was a size 13, so that's 2 3/4, 2.74 inches in diameter. So let's go ahead, cut this thing off, see if I can bend it. I mean, this is what I use to do my spoon rings, this little jig setup here. I'm not sure how well this will bend, but it will. The reason I'm going to do it is it will give us a really good indication of how those forged welds took. So I'm going to nip off a little off the end, and then we'll do 2 3/4, 2 3/4, and I'm going to go just a shade longer than that. We'll nip those off and see what the heck happens. Just clean those ends up. See a pretty hokey setup. It's all I got for doing the spoon rings that I do. If you ever been to my shows, you know that I have spoon rings that I sell. Something to do to get me away from the silver a little bit. This is a pretty chunky piece of steel, so I'm not sure how well she's going to bend. Yeah, she wants to be hot. But, again, whether the ring turns into a ring or not. The point is, can we bend it without delaminating anything? That is the question to be had. Doesn't seem to be doing too horribly. Doesn't seem to be doing too horribly. So we got halfway through. So it's still there. I got one delamination occurring over here. We might be able to take care of it, we might not. We're going to find out. For sure, let's get us up to near the right size. I think we're going to be a little on the small side here anyway. But she's moving. She be moving. Delaminating a little bit more, but it isn't horrible. Gosh, that's not bad at all. If I get that flattened down there, just go a little more than I want to. Should have Robin here. She's the jewelry expert. And there's lots of smart ways to do this other than what I'm doing. Trust me. Normally I would cast my jewelry. That's what I did when I was in the jewelry business. Long, many moons ago. But, it is what it is what it is. And sometimes a monkey with a hammer will just do this fine. Sometimes a monkey with a hammer will do just fine. Again, and we're after quality, right? So that seems to work well. Certainly not going to fit that finger. Not the way it is unless I leave it open. Pretty chunky for a ring anyway. Let me hammer on this a little bit and I'll see if I get to a point where I'm happy. I'm going to take the easy way out and just be done with things, you know. Because I've never tried this, you know. I've never tried steel jewelry. So let's heat this sucker up. See if we can get a little bit more of a closed stance here. So if somebody wanted to solder it, they could. Or at least attempt to. Unfortunately, it means I'm going to have to clean it up and rehash it and all that, but I kind of thought I would have to do that. It won't be perfect, but it'll be something. It'll be too small, that's for sure, but that's life. You got to remember the thickness of the material when you measure in your ring. What the hell, that ain't horrible. I don't know if you could solder that, but it ain't horrible. Bump you in just a little bit. I don't mind that. Alright. Yeah. It ain't terrible. Actually, I might just weld that son of a bitch up and be done with it. How about that? Bet you I can throw a weld in there and still clean it up. Let's see. This started off as, can you forge with banding material? Now what do we got? We're jewelers now. Throw a little TIG action at this and see what we can do with it. It isn't my specialty, but we might be able to pull something off here. I don't know which way I want to go with it. Let's go this way. Man, I wish I could see what I was doing sometimes. inside of it. Just wish I had a little more material over here. Hell, I think we can clean that up. I think we can clean that up. Swear to God. Back out. So with that now closed, I should be able to get a little better roundness out of this if I don't break the weld in the process. Ain't horrible. Ain't too bad. Right there. Didn't know this was going to be a jewelry show, did we? Oh, hell. So it rounded up pretty good. Let me see if I can just kind of clean that weld off and then clean the whole ring back up. I'll be back. Well, I'll tell you, you guys are taking me back to a world that I've forgotten a long, long time ago. I used to do a lot of jewelry, sterling silver, mostly castings. But there you have it. How's that for a ring? Hopefully we can get a good enough focus on it where you can see. Not bad. And here's the, where is the weld? There's the weld right in there. Alright, on the inside it looks like crap. I didn't try to clean the inside up too much. But the outside, I'm an extra shiny ring. Could pass for silver maybe. A little darker than silver. Alright, let's etch it up and see what the thing turns out to be now. I just wish I had sized it properly because the sons of pups don't fit. I could get it over that knuckle on the left hand, but it would take a pretty special woman to make me want to push that on a one-way street for sure. Alright, let's etch it up. What'll be interesting is that I didn't polish. I went to 300 grit on the original piece. And I'm wondering if this etching on a dropping freaking ring all over the place, etching on something that's polished, this will give us a good apples to apples comparison. So we'll let that sit in there, and I'll keep checking on it, but probably 10 minutes anyway. I don't know what I'm going to call this thing in video, but you know, the question was, you know, can you forge, you know, something with this? And from the hardness test with bending, we decided not. I did anyway. We forged ourselves up a neat little pattern. I think 56 layers twisted. Not perfectly, there's some flaws in there, but I think still pretty darn cool. And then took that into a ring. To the pattern, as well as the flaws in this silly thing, but it is what it is. And you came along for the journey, and I wasted another hour of your day. Tell you, you guys are crazy, I think, sometimes. But it's a cool little project. I may use it again, but for something else, I'm not sure. Here you can really see the pattern. When the focus gets in the right spot. Anyway, y'all have yourself a good Friday night. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I'm tired. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Seriously. If you found this video helpful, educational, maybe even if you just found it entertaining, and you want to support me, you can jump back to my channel. There's a button on the right hand side of the screen called support, and it's kind of like a tip jar. You can go ahead and leave a tip for this video, and that'll help me make some more, I guarantee. Thanks for your support as always.